Shalom, family. This is me, Mary C, coming to you yet again with another video. How are you guys doing out there? I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. And I know that things are looking a little bleak, but we knew that these days were coming, right? We knew to expect these days. So more now than ever before, we are seeing signs that say limit 1 or 2 per customer, or we're seeing signs that say out of stock or sold out. And we know the reasons why this is happening. So we're not going to look at that. We're going to look at solutions. What do you do when you go to the store and you find out that the items that you usually want to pick up are no longer on the shelves or anywhere in the supermarket? What do you do? Well, the solution, the simple solution, is something that I grew up with, and something that's been with me for as long as I can remember, and that is you make do. You've heard that before. I mean, we're going back old school. You make do. So if you don't have one item, you substitute it for another item. For example, if you're cooking and you need milk and you don't have the homogenized vitamin D, whatever they want to call it, gallon of milk in your refrigerator, and you can't really get it from the store, you can substitute it for canned milk or powdered milk. So if you have it on hand, excuse me. So one of the things that I would suggest is that you get the canned milk. We used to call it pet milk in my day, or carnation milk, or what have you. That's in the cans. It's not too expensive yet, so you can still pick up a few cans of that type of milk, and that has a shelf life that's a lot better than the refrigerated stuff. It doesn't taste the same. If you were to drink it straight out, it doesn't taste the same. But you can use it in a pinch, especially when you're baking, cooking, or what have you. So I wanted to come to you and just tell you to make the most of what you have on hand, and to think outside of the box, really and truly. You know, we have been raised or taught, not really raised, but we've been taught to believe that certain foods are only to be eaten at certain times of the day. Well, I'm here to tell you that is it's not true. You don't have to. You go with what you prefer. If you decide that you want to have pancakes for dinner, you can do that. It's totally up to you. There's no rule or rhyme or rule that is set in stone that says that it must be that way. And so when I start talking about thinking outside of the box, or talking about thinking outside of the box when it comes to items that you can no longer get, or items that they're out of stock on or sold out of, I'm mainly talking about food items. So what do? You know, there are so many inexpensive meals that you can put together using inexpensive items, or items that you might have on the shelf or in your cabinet, that will fill up a empty stomach and go a long way. One of those items is spaghetti. We normally do ours with the ground beef, but you can do it with ground beef. You can do it with meatballs. You can do it with sausages. You can do it whatever you want. You want to put hot dogs in your spaghetti, you can do that too. But you're talking, for the most part, pasta, spaghetti sauce, and some type of meat, if you want to put the meat in there. If you don't want meat, you can use mushrooms. If you don't like mushrooms, you can go meatless. But you can make a big pot of that. If you opened up one box of either noodles or spaghetti noodles, or the elbow noodles, or whatever type of noodles that you're going to use, fairly inexpensive meal. If you're going to do it with the ground beef, of course, it's going to get a little bit more expensive. Whatever meat that you end up putting in there, it's going to get a little bit more expensive. But even if you don't go with any of the meat, you can. That's a big pot of you can make a big pot if you're cooking the whole. If you're going to boil the whole box of pasta or bag of pasta. Another one is, and I'm using pasta again, and this is the egg noodles. You can do a simple meal of tuna casserole. Tuna casserole is a simple meal that you can put together, fairly inexpensive for a family that will, stick to the bones and go a long way, right? This I tell you, go a long way. So, think outside of the box. These are probably meals that you don't normally have on a regular basis, but it'll feed a family. It'll feed a family on a budget. Another one that you can feed your family if you're low on funds or you can't find things in the grocery store, you can always go to your yard, so long as you have not sprayed it with any chemicals. There are dandelion greens. We eat dandelion greens every year. Dandelion greens and beans. Dandelion greens and potatoes. It's a filler and it tastes good. So that's something that you can get out of your yard for free. There's free food in your yard. Again, so long as you're not putting chemicals on it, we don't. Then you can eat those things. The dandelion, the whole plant is edible. The flower, the stem, the leaves, and the roots. So the whole plant is edible. So beans. I can my beans, but I also buy beans in, which the canned ones, of course, come in the bags first. But I also buy canned beans. And I'm not real picky about name brands or anything like that, but I buy the canned beans. You can get those still fairly inexpensive, so long as you can get those. Canned potatoes is another one. And I'm saying canned potatoes because they are talking a potato shortage coming our way. If it hasn't already started, I don't know, but I did hear that a potato shortage was headed our way. So get yourself sliced or diced or whole potatoes in the cans if you can. I know that our local Dollar Tree sells the potatoes. I don't remember which version, how they're cut up, or if they're whole, but I know that they sell them. I believe I picked up the sliced ones before. So they sell the canned potatoes. So if you're low on potatoes, go get those before those are out of stock. But one other meal that we grew up eating, it's one of my favorites, was called cream beef. It's a little different. My husband had cream beef, but his was a lot different than mine growing up. His was more like a chip beef, and mine was ground beef. So we had cream beef when we were growing up, and that's another one that I was saying that if you don't have the refrigerated milk, you can use the pet milk or carnation milk to make your cream beef. And my mom used to make it, and she would put the cream beef on top of toast, and that's how we used to eat it when I was growing up. But that's one of those meals that goes a long way. You can make a pot of that and feed the whole family. So again, you just think outside of the box. I hope that some of these ideas are helping you out. Another one that you could put together is sausage beans and weenies, or beans and sausages, whichever one that you can get for that's less expensive, that meets your budget. You can do beans with sausages. Let me see. Bread. And our local Dollar Tree, I don't know if you guys' Dollar Tree does this or not, but our local Dollar Tree, on certain days, they actually have bread. And everything is, the prices on everything is rising. And the price on bread is also rising, but you can at least get it from the Dollar Tree for about $1.25. It's not too bad. If you can get it for less someplace else, let me know. Probably, maybe. I don't know for sure. If Aldi's has it for a little less, let me know. But anyways, they have different varieties, and it's name brand. So I was able to pick up these English muffins and this Sara Lee artisan bread. And one of the kickers for me was this one here. And this is the brown berry, which is fairly expensive. People must pay $4 for these kind of breads. Well, they have it over at the Dollar Tree for $1.25. So when they have it at the Dollar Tree for about $1.25, I pick them up and I freeze them. If you do not have bread, you don't have access to bread. One of the other things that Dollar Tree sells is tortillas. So you can pick up tortillas, a pack of tortillas. I believe there's 10 or 12 in a pack for $1.25. Okay, so if you don't have bread, use tortillas for your meals. I'm trying to think, or crackers, or buy a box of cornbread mix, or a bag of cornbread mix to substitute for the bread. To use this bread. We grew up on cornbread. Biscuits. My mom used to make homemade biscuits. If you can do that, that's great as well. But again, we know that the flour is one of those things that the price is probably going to start going up on. So you'll have to pick and choose how you're going to want to use that flour. So anyhow, let me get back to some of did I talk about all of the foods that you can eat on a budget? Chili mac is another one. Chili mac is a meal that'll go a long way. If you have the pasta again, right now it's not too expensive, but it's, everything is rising. You can get you some elbow macaroni and some ground beef. Now, of course, that's probably going to put you up in price a little bit. Or just use a can of chili. I was going to say make it from scratch, but that's probably going to be a little bit more expensive than opening up a can of chili. So you get yourself a can of chili and some pasta, and you got chili mac. I mean, it's fairly inexpensive meal that you can put together. Another one is get yourself a head of cabbage, fry it. So fried cabbage. And sausage. That's another one that we grew up on, and I cook that today. And I still cook the I was talking about the cream beef my mom used to make for us, but I make that today for my husband and I still enjoy it with the toast. So if you need to cook another fairly decent meal that will stick to your bones, and that is greens and cornbread, any type of greens. I usually mix all mine, but greens and cornbread is another one. I'm just trying to go through my list and make sure I said everything. Did I say potato soup? If I didn't, potato soup. Another one is potatoes and sausage, or potatoes and eggs. Again, it doesn't have to be cooked for breakfast only. You can have eggs any type of the day. Any time of the day you can have eggs. And then there's snack things that you can have that thinking outside of the box again. We're talking about apples. You can get a bag of apples. I know they're fairly expensive right now, but if you get a bag of apples, you can always dehydrate them. You can dehydrate slices of apples. And a real neat one that you can do with the little ones is you can slice apples up, because then you can divide it up amongst many when you do that, instead of just giving them a full apple. So slice it up and so that they can share it. And if you open up a Jello pack, the powdered Jello packs, and get their favorite flavor, they have the strawberry, they have the orange flavors, they have different flavors. So if you get a small little Jello pack and pour a little of that powder onto a little saucer for the kids, give them a few sliced apples, and they can dip that in the Jello powder. We call it, in this household, we call it fairy dust. And that is a inexpensive and a good treat for the little ones, okay? Another one that you can do if you're kind of short on funds and you can't really get a lot of the brand name snacky foods for the kids is to take your tortillas and cut them into slices. cut them into slices, put a little butter on them, lightly buttered, and then sprinkle, use some cinnamon and some sugar on them. Cinnamon and sugar, or cinnamon, brown sugar, cinnamon and powdered sugar, whatever. But if you do the powdered sugar after you bake it. So if you're going to bake it, which I would suggest you do it, you take and you sprinkle the cinnamon and the sugar on it, regular sugar. Put it in the oven for a little bit, take it back out, and that's a good treat for the kids. You let it kind of get dry, and that's a good treat for the kids. But if you're not going to put the sugar on it, to put it in the oven, when it comes out of the oven, you can use the powdered sugar on top with the cinnamon. So that's the other one. I hope that was I explained that so that you understood what I was actually talking about. It's a great treat. Another meal is for those of you who are Spam eaters. You fry your Spam up. Fry it up in a pan and add some potatoes to it. Some potatoes and some onions, and that's another meal. So you want to, I mentioned Spam and sausages and things like that because you want to cook meats that will stretch and fill you up. Meats with whatever you're going to add to it, like rice, and that's another one, rice and beans, or rice and sausage, or rice and fish patties, or tuna patties, or salmon patties. Those are things that will stretch and go a long way. So find ways or solutions to, if you don't have this, if this is sold out at the store, if it's out of stock, how else can I make these meals? How else can I stretch my budget? How else, what can I substitute it with? How can we learn to make do with what we have? And I'm hoping that this video kind of gave you some ideas on thinking outside of the box of what we can do when we cannot get the items that we're used to using when we cook our meals. I hope that this helps. So I just wanted to come, I've got a list of jobs to do around this house, and nobody's going to do them but me, so I guess I better get busy, right? But I have a list of things to do, but I wanted to take the time to come out and talk to you guys today, because I'm thinking you're going to encounter shelves that are completely empty. You're going to encounter items that you're used to having in your kitchen, your pantry, not being available. It's going to happen. The same thing with the oils. You're talking about the cooking oils. I mentioned this before. Cooking oils are going to be in short supply. So you want to stock up on cooking oils if you can get them. So that being said, I am going to end this so that I can get my other jobs done, but I wanted to come to you and at least share these suggestions to you. Anyhow, you know what I'm going to say. I love you guys. I do. But know this, the Most High, He loves you so much more. Shalom. Have a good day.